Hello everyone, my name is Jason, and I am going to be talking about Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Yes, there's a movie, as you can see on the cover of the book here, directed by Steven Spielberg. And I have actually seen the movie and read the book now. Well, I read the book first, and then I went and saw the movie afterwards. Anyway, there is some criticism that the book is basically just a big, I don't know how to say it, basically it's just hit after hit of 80s culture references and stuff, and it is. It's still pretty good. It's better than the movie. The movie's not bad, it's just not great either. And they had to make some changes from the book to the movies because obviously in the movies you couldn't get away with all of the pop culture references without then having to then go get some sort of licensing rights to use those references. Anyway, so Ready Player One, it's the future, it's 2040, there's a huge energy crisis, and everybody tries to escape into what they call the Oasis. The Oasis is an online world that overlays the real world, and when you log on, you can kind of get away from your problems. And the thing is that a lot of people work and even kind of live in the Oasis. Obviously, you still have to have food, you still have to do all the things that you do outside of the Oasis. But work, a lot of people work in virtual offices. A lot of people, the main character, Wade Watts, he is a high school student at the beginning of the book, and he goes to high school on a planet in the Oasis. So anyway, he is the main focus of the book, obviously. Anyway, the Oasis was created by a man named Halliday. And Halliday was a genius, and he was very much in kind of the style of Steve Jobs from Apple. Kind of, I think, not don't quote me on this, but he seems kind of modeled after Steve Jobs. Anyway, he created this online world, and then he died. When he died, he said that he basically left his will inside the Oasis, and the first player to find it would be able to then take over the company. All of his money and resources in the company, they would all be willed to him, or her, or whoever the player was that found. It's called an Easter egg. If you're not familiar with gaming concepts, Easter egg may be unfamiliar to you. Easter egg refers to things that programmers and now just about anyone really, they create some work and they leave a little something, a prize kind of hidden in their work. In this case, it's not actually an Easter egg, but it's the same concept of the Easter egg that, when you go out to an Easter egg hunt, you're searching through to find the prize. And he left a lot of challenges, and since the Oasis is so vast, it covers virtual planets and galaxies and universes and stuff, it could be hidden anywhere. No one actually knows where it is. And so there's this, they call it the Anorak Almanac. Anorak was the avatar name for Halliday. And it's full of pop culture references, and this group of people called Gunters, egg hunters, have popped up. And they form clans and associations, and then there's still people who just go out and search solo. So Wade Watts kicks off this whole thing because he is a Gunter. I mean, who wouldn't be? This is a multi-billion-dollar company that has power over so much of the real world now, because it's almost everything is now tied into the Oasis. Companies have their presence there. Countries have embassies there. It's just part of the world. So he figures out where the first challenge is, and you have to collect 3 keys: copper, jade, and crystal, and then that will unlock the final challenge to be able to find the final Easter egg. And there goes my text alert. Anyway, so Wade finds it, and he meets Artemis. Artemis is another gunter like himself, and she's actually pretty famous. She runs a blog, and she talks about finding stuff. And she had actually found it before he did, but he was actually able to solve the puzzle and collect the key. There's some rather interesting things that they've done here. So, like I said, this is most of the book is an homage to the 80s and to all the pop culture stuff, because the guy Halliday was obsessed with the 80s, and so a lot of the things that are in there are references to things that Halliday liked from the 80s, possibly Ernest Cline. I don't know. Anyway, he ends up having to beat the game of Joust. And you should look it up. Joust is an interesting game. It's like you're running around on flying ostriches, and you were knights, and you were trying to knock the other person off their own flying ostrich. Old game. And then he was able to get the copper key, and then that in turn led him to the next part, which was actually a recreation of the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick. So he had to go through the movie as if he was Matthew Broderick's character, speaking the actual lines of the movie, in order to pass that hurdle and get through the copper gate to get the next piece of the puzzle to unlock the next key. Now, not everything is entirely peaceful in the world of Oasis, because there's a company called IOI, and IOI is basically they're the greedy, faceless corporate entity. I mean, come on, they are the bad guys. Their idea is that Halliday, he wanted the Oasis to basically be free, so everything he did with the Oasis, it was, you have free access to the Oasis. Now you may need to once it's kind of the whole internet, and there seems to be maybe a hidden political message in there with net neutrality and stuff. This could be me reading more into it than there is, but like I said, but there's things like, he wanted it to be free, they wanted to monetize it. So if you wanted to get on the Oasis, you had to pay them. Now the thing is that they were making so much money already. Why do they need to? It's one of those greed things. Why do they feel that they need to now set up an access and you have to pay a monthly subscription fee? I get it. The thing is that you can't not monetize something like that, because how do you set up how do you keep it going? How do you keep funding it? There has to be some capitalist means to keep it going, otherwise it will fail. So I mean, whatever. Anyway, back to IOI. IOI, the main villain there, is Nolan Sorrento. He comes to Wade and says, "We want you to be one of us. We'll give you all this stuff." Wade tells him no. He tries to have Wade killed. And there's other players in the book. There's H, for instance, and Daito and Shoto, and just they have so many different characters, and it's, as you can see from the picture here, it's kind of a post-apocalyptic thing. It's not really post-apocalyptic. There wasn't something that happened that there's lots of death and destruction. It's just that the economy is collapsing. There's a major crisis and all this stuff. And so basically the only place you can go is the Oasis to get away from that crap. And of course, IOI wants to control all of it. Some of the things that they do in the book, it made me sort of disappointed when I saw the movie later. And I mean, obviously there's going to be some disappointment because the movie's not going to mesh entirely with the picture you've constructed in your head. But there were some things that they did in the book that were actually really clever. Wade totally outsmarted IOI. He concocted this plan and carried it out and was able to fool IOI and make them look like idiots. That part is missing from the movie. In the movie, he's just, it's almost like he's reacting rather than being proactive, and it makes much more sense to make him a more dynamic character, to evolve his character into, now I'm going to stick it to the man because he's been sticking it to me. Now it's my turn for payback, rather than I've just got to react to what's going on around me. He's like, I've got a plan. He comes up with a plan. He implements the plan. He carries it through, and he ends up, because of his plan, that was the Achilles heel of IOI in underestimating him and his abilities. And there's just that's missing from the movie, and I think it would have made the movie better if they'd showcased that side of Wade. So a lot of the characters in the book, instead of going by their name, they go by their avatar name. So Wade is Parsifal, and H, that's not H's name. Artemis, again, that's not her name. Daito and Shoto, again, not their names. Those are their player character names, their avatar names that they use in the book. And it's not until later that you actually find out what some of their names are, because when you're online in Oasis, you can be whoever you want to be. And so in the book, there's a lot of things like that do end up making it into the movie. I would have really liked to see, though, some of the things that were described in the book. There's some mech battles and stuff that just aren't part of the movie, mostly because I'm assuming that they couldn't get the rights to use the likenesses and things, whereas in the book it was not such a big problem. Anyway, book was good. Not perfect, but it was still good. I like some of the descriptions of the technology they used. It would be nice to have that kind of information, or not that kind of technology. The haptic suits were interesting. The omnidirectional treadmills and things would be awesome. Let me tell you, awesome. It would. I'm a video gamer. I love video games, and if I was actually the one in the game, running around and stuff, it would be a lot of fun. A lot more immersive than it is now. So I look forward to something like the Oasis. The Oasis would be a ton of fun. Anyway, that's it for today. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Like and subscribe as always. Turn on the bell so you can get notifications. And until next time, enjoy what you're reading.